Well, it's happened once again. Italian Job and I have lucked out and got to meet 4 high-impact men from Wichita, Kansas, all because of F3. Wichita, like many regions out there, are relatively new, and in 2 years, they're feeling all the highs that F3 brings. Exploring new opportunities, finding ways to have high impact in their community, and spending some time together building brotherhood. In today's conversation, these guys open up about their personal experiences at Grow Ruck 43. They share a great idea for a new CSAUP, and we open up about mental health. This is definitely a conversation you don't want to miss, and as always, this is stuff worth trying. Looking good, Italian Jobs.
I'm feeling good, Tommy boy. I'm looking at some threads here. That looks like an OG Mud Gear Orange Stitching version 1. The one
it is hands down
original.
The best quality shirt that has rolled off of Mud Gear. I think I got this back in 2015.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask, does it smell okay until you sweat in it and then like 9 years of sweat funk come out, or is that just my shirt? Those must just be my shirts.
Let me be very clear. I have all of the other shirts that do that. This one to this day still smells like Irish Spring, dude. Like it is. I love this shirt. I love this shirt. It washes away, and so does all the pain and misery. It reminds me why I love F3.
I'll put it this way, man. We may not be sponsored by Mud Gear, but I think you and I own the entire catalog. Between the two of us, we've owned just about everything that's come through. So, hey, Malco, if you're listening, little swag our way. Wouldn't turn it down. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, if a mysterious unmarked package shows up on my front porch, I will be very pleased with that.
As long as it's not ticking, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
But to answer your question, Tommy boy, I'm doing well, man. This is the most beautiful time of year. The temperatures are cooling down. The leaves are falling. I'm a happy man. Family is well, and work is work. I'll leave it at that. That's certainly not how I define myself, but things are well. You look good.
Well, I have the post Grow Ruck glow about me, right? So with that being said, honestly, I'm with you. Love this time of year. Timing is crazy, all sorts of life going on and being lived, right? And what a gift. So I say all that because I want to jump into our topic. And I called it on the front end, the IPA, which a buddy of mine here in Greensboro and I have put that together to mean the infectious positive attitude. And this past weekend, I spent time at GTE 43 in the Fort Bend region and was looking forward to it. I had back-to-back GTEs. I got to work for whatever reason with Seagal again, got to meet Pink Slip officially. So these trainer guys are starting to cross into 3 dimensions now, which is great because forever it's been Zoom calls. Mm-hmm. Get to the rally, fired up because you know me, I love getting to meet the guys. I'm fired up about King Pilder. Can't wait for Grow School. And like immediately there's like this band of brothers over in the corner that are kind of looking suspicious around their own little picnic table. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to disrupt these guys because I'm not letting anybody be on their own and not be mixed in, right? Which is what we're called to do. Like mix it up, make sure guys are getting to know each other. And like I could have hung out with these dudes all night. Turns out they're down from Wichita. We talked after GTE. These guys are high impact from stem to stern the entire weekend. Looking sharp, looking fit, bringing other guys alongside of them. And I'm like, this is what we need to talk about is what do these guys got going on? So I asked them, how new is your region? Turns out they're the terrible twos, right? But then F3, the terrible twos are like the terrific twos because you're on fire for all the new stuff. You're starting to find out about other regions and what they're up to. You're creating your own stuff. That's a long way to say, I'm not even going to introduce you. I basically feel like I unleash them upon you. Men from F3 Wichita. I'm not going to take their thunder. I'm just going to kind of go left to right. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. We're going to do Name-orama and how you got your name. I'll call you out left to right. I got Chop. Chop, take it away, brother.
Kyle Tucker, 35, Chop. I got the name because I was born in South Florida, and as such, all my sports teams are South Florida teams. The guy who invited me, my F3 dad, was a college basketball guy knew I had a big U of M sticker on my laptop. Threw that out there. Said I think we should do the Florida State shop. I turned around and gave them the nastiest glare, and they're like, "That's it.
That's it. That'll do it." Gosh, that's
Nailed
good.
it. Nailed
So
it.
good.
All right. Pro tip before I introduce the next guy. A, if you're not on YouTube, you need to get on YouTube and check out this guy's stash. And B, make sure your wife isn't in the room when you do it. So that being said, Pringle, welcome to the pod, man.
Oh, thanks. Glenn Thompson, 48, Pringles.
Pringles.
And my F3 dad is the gentleman you just met. He's also my nephew. That would be Kyle Tucker Chop. He invited me, and because of my work schedule, it took a while for me to get out to F3. But once I did, it took a couple sessions, but man, I've been hooked ever since. The name obviously came from the stash, but they put me in the middle of the circle, started asking questions, and somebody said, "He looks like the guy off the Pringles can." And I was like, "Gosh, I hate Pringles." And the guy's like, "That's it, Pringles." So
Famous last words.
Hey, Tommy boy, are you aware that they cannot call Pringles potato chips? They are not potato chips. Something about the ingredients or something.
Well, it's because
I
they
didn't know
poop
that.
them out of a tube. They're not sliced potatoes. They poop them out of a tube.
It's like tennis balls and Pringles in the same tube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same company.
I thought it was
Same
ratio
company.
chips to bag.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, it is high quality. I'm going to do a bit of a switcheroo on my list, at least, but and actually, I think we're okay. Homecoming, welcome to the pod, buddy. You're up next.
Thank you, Dan Beckler, 39, Homecoming.
Homecoming.
I got my name, moved back to Wichita. I'm originally from here. I didn't live here for about 15 years. One of the questions that we always ask during the Name-A-Rama session is, how did you meet your wife? We went to high school together, actually where the AO is at. So it was my homecoming back to that area. And our first date was actually also homecoming our freshman year as well. So kind of a double dip there. I would just say some of the names that were thrown out sure love homecoming. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you could have been Sadie Hawkins, man. You got away pretty easily.
Yeah.
I tried
thought
to
about
name
that,
someone that, by the way. I have tried, and it didn't. I tried to name Dark Helmet's daughter. She asked his now son-in-law out on the first date, and I was like Sadie Hawkins, and it didn't happen. So I've got that one in my back pocket. But Homecoming's a solid name.
one.
I like that.
You got
Nice.
one.
I love it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, then I'm going to wrap it up with Flenderson because I want to start the first question with Flenderson. So take it away, brother.
Josh Pierce, 41, Flenderson.
Flenderson.
I got invited to F3 actually at a leadership event. I had a table up. Got pulled in by side saddle. I showed up at my first ever beat down, got done, got pulled in the center of the circle, and they said, "Tell us your name." I said, "Josh Pierce." They said, "What do you do for work?" And I said, "HR." And they said, "Toby Flenderson." I said, "Oh, there's more about me."
No. The name is set. It's
I
over.
don't really care. Get out of the circle. So,
You could have cured cancer, and it was already set that you were going to be
it
the
was
HR
even
guy
in
from the
HR.
office.
We know where it's at.
So Tommy boy, what I just heard
Yeah.
was you and I need to be on our P's and Q's because HR's in the room. So
Absolutely. I'm documenting all of this.
Always recorded, always on file. So, Flenderson, I said I wanted to start with you because rumor has it you're the reason that the Wichita guys had an appearance at GTE 43. So I think if you wouldn't mind just kind of setting the table about your region and why you were so hard charging to get these guys in a van and drive them down 10 hours to Texas.
Yeah, I know we have a fantastic region. Just, I think super close, super knit together. I personally, 2 years ago before my 40th birthday, did a Go Rock Tough. Went down to Oklahoma City, did it by myself. It was a good experience. Not near as fun doing it by yourself. A little anticlimactic. And so I was on the F3 Nation website and saw this Grow Rock thing. I was like, what is this? I started asking everybody in the region. They're like, we don't know. I don't know what that thing is. And so we had a guy come down from downrange from Kansas City, and he had done it. Man, this is a great experience. And so we started looking at dates. I think we actually picked one maybe 10 months out, and then just started EHing everywhere I could possibly go. And so, I think I targeted kind of 2 guys originally, and then they helped me target 2 more guys. And we just kind of kept the snowball rolling. I was told, maybe I undersold how tough it was going to be. Yes, I neither confirm nor deny that, but it was fantastic, and so it was really, really a great experience, kind of getting to train alongside each other, getting this. It wasn't just the moment at the event; it was really kind of the months leading up, and planning together and thinking together and ordering gear and all those things.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, Tommy boy, you mentioned kind of this glow. I can see it. I can see it on the 4 guys on the screen. So, this is just an open-ended question, just for you guys. How are you feeling post GTE? Sometimes you're riding high. Sometimes it takes a couple days of licking your wounds to really assess how things turn out. How am I doing? Did it change you at all? Just overall, just tossing it out there. How did you feel coming off of it, and are you still on that high?
Well, we have to start with, we took a quick video at the end when we got back to the farm, and we're going around, and we asked that same question to one of our guys who just turned 50. And I think Homecoming was answering a question, and he just chimes in, "I feel dangerous."
So
That's what
good.
you're saying.
Yeah.
That's the new
good.
T-shirt right there.
Exactly. I mean, for me, I'm still riding high. Physically, honestly, we got some advice before kind of getting into this of walking backwards downstairs. But I enjoyed going down the stairs the normal way, because every step I took, it hurt. But it was a reminder of what we accomplished. I mean, for me, it was the most physically grueling thing I'd ever done, and physically, but also just spiritually and emotionally, how it changed me. I think certainly a pivotal, life-changing moment for sure.
It's funny you use the word dangerous. I'm reading a book that many of us have already read. I'm reading it a second time, Wild at Heart. And the chapter I just read specifically said that society doesn't want man to be dangerous. That's that's who we are. I mean, look at, if you've got small boys, you can see them. They're jumping off of stuff. Everything's a weapon. They want you in a safe box. They want you in a place where they can control the chaos. We don't want somebody to think for themselves. We don't want somebody to push their agenda. I just want you to fall in line, shave your face, wear a polo shirt, dress the part, neuter the man. And then all of a sudden, when a man feels that danger, he's almost unlocked. And then when the enemy's at the door, all the effeminate desire of let's take the danger out of the man. Now everybody's looking around saying, where's the man? Where's the danger? Well, you neutered him. He's no longer dangerous. So a weekend like this kind of sparks that flame, lights that fire, and says, I can do this. I'm strong enough. I've got my why.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this week, I think my favorite part was just watching the 10 of us achieve it together. And so I've been sore this week and tired this week, and it's been a long week at work. And about the middle of the week, I heard from 2 different M's of the guys who went. I just said, man, common theme was, I don't know what you did to my husband over the past bit, but he's a different man. Thanks. And it was just unbelievable. I didn't do anything to your husband. Your husband's been unleashed, and it's just super fun to watch this resurge of life and energy, and kind of out of the sad clown syndrome into some really exciting stuff. And so it's been awesome.
Yeah, one of the highlights for me when it came to, and let me be very clear, the Texas guys from near and far were just crushing it, right? Like they put on a hell of an event. They stepped up in a lot of different ways. They were present in everything. I mean, it was 3 events, right? It was the Impact Ruck. It was the overnight. It was a 24-hour. My first time seeing a 24-hour, and they nailed it. They did a great job. What I loved, and I think what really stuck out with me with you fellas, is that being kind of outsiders coming in, you were always dialed in to what was going on, meaning that whether it was a grow school or the King Builder or the overnight, whenever something was happening, one or more of you were in the thick of it. Homecoming, for example, I know at one point you were in charge. And that feels like a whole Smash Mouth kind of moment, right? Where it's like, what is happening? How did I get pulled out of the crowd for this one? But when in charge, take charge, and you did in every way, shape, or form. There was delegation. There was asking for help and assistance. You exhibited all these brand new leadership qualities. Some were new, some maybe not to you, but it was great. And it was just like time and time again, in some way, shape, or form, a Wichita guy was like, I'll help out, hand raised, put me in the game, coach. And it just reminded me of we can do what we feel like doing, or we can do what we choose to do. And you guys, there's not a gray man amongst you, right? You weren't trying to find a way to be the flag bearer or to pass off your ruck, even though unless you needed it, right? Because there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And then we thought you guys got off clean as a whistle until they threw you in that swampy muck with like alligators and stuff at about the final 2 hours. But let me ask you this, because you guys threw yourselves into the midst of everything that a GTE has to offer, from the moment you started training until the patching ceremony. What was the turning point for you where you thought or experienced or felt, my heart is beating a little bit differently right now? And I don't mean your rhythm, I mean the power that it has. What were those what was that turning point for each of you?
Yeah, I think for me, at sunrise, as we talked and reflected, looking over the men and just kind of what we'd achieved together through the night, that was just a massive moment for me, of celebration and just excitement, and seeing, we're all beat, but there wasn't any of our crew that looked destroyed. I knew we're going to get up, we're going to finish, and that's how it's just going to be. And it doesn't matter if we go another 2 hours or go another 5, we're going to crush it out. And so that was just a really fantastic moment for me.
Yeah, I'd go a little bit before that. I think that all through the night, really what gets you through is just taking that next step in front of you and just trying to find where you can plug in, where you can help out. You can't be thinking about the end game at that point in time. You can't be thinking about how many more hours you had, especially that night, because it was daylight savings time. We were all kinds of terms around as far as like, what time of day, where's the constellation at in the sky? We need to study the stars better for the next one to know what time it is, because we were just all kinds of confused. But when we saw the sun start to come up, and it wasn't just city lights, it was the actual sun starting to come up and the fog that was there. Pringles sent out a note to us the next morning, Monday morning, and just as a reminder of what that moment was like when you knew the end was in sight. We knew it was just a couple more hours at that point, and that kind of reinvigorated us to push further, harder the rest of the way through.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. I would say for me, one of the big points was about that same time frame, but it was when we came together. We had the red team and the blue team, but when they got back together, we all joined forces again to do that one of the final workouts together, and the 43. And it wasn't so much a competition anymore. Competition's fun, but it's really cool when you realize, okay, we're still all on the same team. We're still here to encourage and push, and even exhort and admonish one another to do better, to carry on. And now you're looking down the line, you're literally linked arms with these guys, doing lunges, doing walks, stepping stuff off, doing curls for the girls, and all kinds of ridiculousness with this package you've been carrying around for hours. And you're dealing with the pain and the struggle and the tired, but still that fierceness comes out in an appropriate, good way. But that unity of knowing that, man, we're all in this together, that for me was a really good point.
Yeah, for me, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It was after the PT test. And the reason why is because, we'd all kind of obviously done our weeks of training together, and then here's the requirements to pass the PT test. One more thing kind of thrown at us. And it's like, all right, now we got to add a whole nother layer of training to make sure that we're hitting 2 miles under 19 minutes and hitting all those numbers. And, I'd gone off on my own and trained after we'd done a beat down just to try to make that under 19 minute 2 mile push. And sometimes I made it by a second. Sometimes I missed it by 30, 40 seconds, just my pace being off. And I'll never forget on that third lap, I heard the time coming through at 2, and I honestly, I don't even know who it was, but we just ended up pushing one of the guys that he wasn't even in the red platoon that I was in. And we just knew we both had to get a sub 6 minute on that last lap, which was pushing it. And we just kind of linked, and I said, let's go. And, for probably that second half of that third lap, we just pushed each other. And when we came in at 18:47, it was just like pure jubilation. And that to me set the tone of, look at that. I've been doing training on my own at different parts or running with some guys. And then boom, it's some random guy. And we team up together and we pushed each other to be better. And that for me set the tone for the rest of the night. And I'm so glad it happened at that point. I was APL as well. And so there was just a lot weighing on my mind. Am I doing this right? Am I leading the guys the right way? And that was just a critical moment for each of us as we kind of both passed that major test.
That's fantastic. A lot of times when we go to these sort of events, we are with our buddies. I mean, we travel up together, and then you realize at some point during the event, your guys are good. We're trained. We're ready for this. Then it becomes the guy next to me and the guy in front of me and the guy beside me on the other side or the guy behind me. And come hell or high water, we're going to get this thing done. And I'm not leaving you behind, and I need you to push me, and I'm going to pull you, and vice versa. We're going to need each other at some point throughout the evening. I'm interested in knowing, you guys are about 2 years in to your region status, which Tommy Boy and I know that's kind of the powder keg moment. It just explodes. For some reason, it just happens. The 2-year mark really sets things off. So you guys are a fairly new region. What's happening in your region, things that you guys are doing that you want to share with some other regions, maybe some stuff that is unique to your region, or something that we like to call the stuff worth trying for other guys to tune in on. And that's open to anybody. I see a lot of smirks. I see a lot of smirks on camera. So I'm not even going to call on anybody specific. Actually, I am. Because Pringles, your smile came across the biggest at the first. Maybe it's because of the stash. I don't know. Yeah. So I got to ask, what's going on in your region, and just toss it amongst yourselves. Let's hear what's going on that some guys can learn from in your region.
Yeah, right on. I think one of the biggest things is energy. Like you said, after 2 years now, guys are reluctant to come. But I've heard it from more than one guy. And the thing that I've shared with one gentleman in specific is when we got together for coffee, just the two of us, we both said almost exact same time, we found our people. And it's that desire that you want to connect with other guys that want to do well, that don't want to be this emasculated modern definition of manhood. You want to be what needs to be a man, to be a good husband, to be a good father, to be a good leader at work, at home, at church, however that looks. So I think that as a whole, for all 7 of our AOs, that's kind of a big driving force. Now, there's a lot of other things that I've had very little to do with, but have absolutely loved seeing happen. And so I don't want to hog this time at all, but we've got this really cool thing called the mother-in-law, and I'm going to turn it over to my other brothers to talk about that, because that's pretty sick.
Take it, guys.
So the mother-in-law was a concoction. I'm sure there's some other AOs and some other regions that get credit for this, that we get inspiration from. Essentially, it's a 50-pound, 5-6-foot telephone pole that you have to formally request per hand the month prior, and it is your intention for the whole Slack channel to see that you're going to commit to getting 20 beatdowns in that month. So you're going to work extra hard to earn her hand. And when you do that, what you get is the right to take her on a date, which means from the start of the beatdown to the circle of trust, she cannot leave, be more than hand's distance or an arm's length away from you the whole time. So whatever the cue concocts, if you're running the whole time, you're running with the mother-in-law the whole time. If the cue is concocting a bunch of curls and squats, you're curling and you're squatting that thing. I think the first time I did it, it was like a mini Murph day where we were doing like a modified Murph of like squats and pull-ups. And I brought a missionary from Peru, and he's looking at me like, can I help you? Like, you want me to take a turn with him? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but you just can't. You can't do that. But yeah, so some of us now, it's like a competition to say who's going to have like the worst, most brutal beatdown with their mother-in-law date. And so several of us, Flenderson, Homegummy, and myself, we're all kind of in the running for trying to do 12 consecutive dates in a row. We're trying to think big picture. And one of our guys, shout out to Dr. Pepper Shake, he is really graphically inclined, and so he built us a really cool patch to kind of incentivize guys.
You see this here.
So we get to, a lot of us will
Nice.
train
Oh, I
with
like
weighted
that.
vests. So we get to put that on for every time we get it. So that's kind of incentivize guys from other AOs to hop in the mix so that they can get some F3 swag, but it's more local and more regional. We'll share the file if we're so inclined and compensated. I'm kidding.
As you guys are talking, I hear trees being timbered, chopped down, and milled into future mother-in-laws.
A new meaning for his name, Chop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. I'm also super curious as what you named the missionary that you brought to a workout, but I don't know if I want to know the answer to that question.
It wasn't like Bow Wow. We'll just put it.
Outstanding.
I remember.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So I have a loaded question for Flenderson that is going to pivot into a question for Pringles. Flenderson, are you currently, what capacity are you currently leading in Wichita?
Yeah, so I'm a site Q for AO Fortress in Wichita. So we actually opened up that site maybe a little less than a year ago with the intent of original site Sparta. It was time to multiply, and B, that's where a few of us have kids going to school. And so we were like, man, it's open to all men, but we are also going to target every dad at this school. And we're going to be the weirdos that are working out every morning. So again, I've been charged with false advertising, but I've got notices in the school newsletter for a dad's workout group, and maybe have more than one dad show up and go, "This isn't a dad's workout group. This is a eating." Okay, modified dad.
That's
It's
it.
okay. Here we go.
And then you tell them you're welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Very cool. Pro tip too for anybody listening. I guess I'm talking to your mom, Italian Job, and my mom. But pro tip: if you're involved with a school like that, a great way to guys is to volunteer for the drop-off lane. And as dads roll up in their minivans to drop off their 2.0s, you hand them a F3 business card and say, "I'll see you tomorrow morning at 5:30."
Right.
So anyway, that one's free. But moving on to the real question is, and I know we talked about it at Grow School, F3 is an organization not with leaders, but of leaders. And each one of you here today showed so many aspects of a virtuous leader throughout the weekend, which is why we had you on. One of my favorite moments of many was when the cadre come in and talk a little bit about mental health. And that if you are experiencing a battle in your head, don't let it live there solely. Share it with the cadre so that the men could be supportive of you throughout the evening. Upon hearing that message, Pringles, you approached me immediately and said, if I can be of service, I am currently going through schooling in that area and could help if needed. You did it very humbly, but obviously. Well, maybe it wasn't obviously. I experienced you to be very humble about what you're doing, what you're learning, what you're schooling on. And yet the amount of love and compassion for your fellow man and wanting to be of service to them is what rose. So A, why are you doing this? And B, what are you hoping to give away?
Oh, wow. Yeah, the why I'm doing that. That's kind of a bit of an explanation. I've been blessed with the opportunity to do ministry for several years now, doing church camps and such. So I work with a lot of younger people in their teenage years, but then also I get into late teens, 20s, starting in the career ages. And now I'm even starting to work with young couples and do some marriage conversations and stuff. So I love it. It's awesome. But one of the things that took me back was the number of kids that would come to me with problems that were well beyond just sitting down and having a good conversation about how you need to live a better life. Man, not to be too graphic, but I'd have multiple kids talk about rape, incest, drug, alcohol abuse as early as 12 years old. Young guys talking to me about porn addiction at 12. Okay. So these are really heavy topics. And the more I got into this, I found that we're not addressing this. Especially in the church, we don't want to have these conversations because they're very difficult, very sticky. Um, and I don't want to come across as preachy, but we say, our faith, this is where my faith is. That third F comes out for me is a biblical basis. So when I have these conversations, this is where I go. But we're starting to get into issues where they're struggling mentally, emotionally, even physically because of this. And so for me to have that opportunity, I realize that this isn't being addressed very often. And there are very, very few people that are willing to take the steps that it takes to do this. So I felt it was being pressed upon me, if I could put it that way, that I have an inclination to do it. For what it's worth, I've been gifted an opportunity. And I don't want to waste that. I firmly believe that one day I'm going to stand before the Creator and have to give an account for my life. Sorry, I get a little emotional. And I don't want to stand there and give excuses. I want to say, you gave me this, and I tried to run the race well.
I saw that time and time again from each one of you guys. And it's so funny because this was my 7th GTE event. Funny is not the right word. It's interesting that it's my 7th GTE event, and every single time I'm fortunate enough to cross paths with a group of guys. And it just so happened that this time the group of guys were all from the same region. Were dumb enough to be driven down 10 miles to Texas to get the snot kicked out of them, and stepped up time and time again in various capacities, whether it was a reassuring hoorah in the middle of the King Builder, whether it was just a really good gut laugh at the rally, whether it was reaching a hand out to lift a man up, or reaching a hand up and asking for help from another man. Those little acts are no little act at all. And you guys seem to have that dialed in such a way that it's second nature. So I applaud all of that. Consider myself lucky that we got to meet. Consider myself unlucky that I don't live in Wichita, because it would be a lot of fun to hang out and chop it up. No pun intended there, chop. Let's do this before I hand it over to the master of landing this plane. 2 or 3 sentences from each of you. For a guy who's listening, not just in F3, but we have the opportunity to reach an audience of men that are not yet in F3. Why seek out things that you guys experienced from day one of your region through this past Sunday at 10 a.m. when you got patched?
I mean, for me, been doing this for about 5 months now. And it was all about community for me. I wanted to lean on men that were like-minded. That's what I needed. I needed that. That sack clown syndrome was real. I'd never heard that until getting into it. And then just like, I was like, bingo, every single point of this was me. And I know there's tons of other men out there. They don't know they need F3, but they do. And I didn't realize that till I really got involved and came to my first beat down. I was like, I got to keep coming. It just kept drawing me in and doing more and more. And here I am after GTE 43, and wouldn't have thought that 5 months ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for me, the pastor says all the time, what matters the most in the end matters the most now. And so the day you die, what matters the most on your deathbed actually matters the most now. If you're cognizant enough to think that. And so I've thought about that a lot with F3, that the day I die, my job's not really going to matter that much. Honestly, my physical fitness is going to be gone too. But what does matter is how as a father, how as a husband, how as a friend, and the impact I had on others. And I just don't know too many places where you can be poured into and pour into others so readily. It's just unbelievable to go, man, I got to work out anyway. That's a box I got to check to stay healthy and be a good father and husband. It's very few places where you get to be blessed and bless others in the middle of it. And I just have one thing, just so sad. I think one of the biggest catalysts for me as we were looking at GrowRec, we signed up. And I got a call from some of the guys at Fort Bend. They said, what the heck is going on with these Wichita guys signing up? Like, tell me, is that a mistake? Did you guys put a typo in? And from the moment they called, they said, we're here to support you guys. Anything you need. And they started sending us training plans. So like, here's what we're doing. A week out, they called me and said, we have taken off Friday. If you guys need anything, call us and we'll get it. We finished. They're sending us notes. They're pulling us in. And just I feel like that as a whole is the why. I've never met those guys in my life, and they were making sure we were successful from afar because they saw us on the list. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Letting us use his pool and shower and everything too.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Shout out Inferno. Shout out Inferno. I was telling my wife literally 2 days ago, it's just such a unique thing that we're a part of, and it's really hard to describe to somebody who hasn't experienced it yet. I initially came for the fitness and came back for the fitness because I wasn't getting that kind of a workout at the gym. I wasn't working out at all the time. And I knew that was going to get me to the best shape of my life, which thankfully we all can say we are. But the huge blessing has been you've been able to come alongside and do life with so many guys that you wouldn't have known. I would know Pringles because of family and because of church, but these other guys that go to different churches that really care about, what matters most in the end matters most now, that want to be good fathers, that have the same shared core set of values, that at the end of their life, they know they're going to stand before a creator and give an account. And they want to do that well. They want to be good men, good fathers, good husbands. Those are the kinds of guys that you want to lock arms with and share in suffering together and lift each other up and be beside and encourage. And you never know what another guy is going through. I literally had a pest guy in my house just yesterday, and he's talking about how his brother just went and did something insanely stupid, and he's just unburdening himself. And I'm like, "Have I ever told you about my workout group? You need to come to this because you've got a lot of stress in your family, like outside of it, inside of it. We never know what that is. If it's financial, if it's interpersonal stuff, if it's marital stuff, if it's problems with kids. Everybody's got a problem, and I think this group just has and this work. F3 just has a very natural way of drawing that out through that circle of trust of guys being able to really honestly, candidly be real finally with people. You think sometimes you get that at church. You think sometimes you get that in your family. But until you're there and you really experience what it's like to hear another guy be that raw, that vulnerable, right? We're doing it on this podcast right now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing like it, and that's really what's been the magnet that just keeps all of us coming back is we show up for each other. There was a phrase that was used at Grow Ruck that was "no one's coming," right? And it was "no." And Pringles and I were texting about maybe like a little lingo to put over our picture from that Grow Ruck thing to like give to the guys as a thing. And he came up with a really cool line, and I had to use it this morning. No one's coming, but KNOW. Know that one person's coming, one person's showing up, and I got to be there for that one guy that's gonna maybe need me. I got to show up for that guy.
Yeah,
that's
no
so
one's
good.
coming.
That is so good. Wow. Hey, Tommy boy, it's amazing how this happens so frequently. Up until I'm going to be completely candid with the listeners. Up until 46 minutes ago, had no clue what we were going to talk about today. Not a clue. Tommy boy did all this, did everything behind the scenes, and it's amazing how it all comes to fruition and things that I've gone through this week and things that I've written. I write something every day, very short on Twitter or on X or whatever we call it now, and it's amazing that the last 4 days line up to this. Tommy boy. I'm going to make it very simple. I'm going to read the last 4 days of things that I wrote and just see how amazing this all ties in to what these high impact men are talking about. Excuses make today easy, but tomorrow harder. Discipline makes today hard, but tomorrow easier. Choose your hard. Every man wants to know he has what it takes. That's why he craves challenge and adventure. He wants to prove to himself that he's strong enough to complete the mission, to do something difficult, preferably outdoors. If you're in a rut, rediscover the warrior inside you. The next one. What the world needs is men who have found their purpose and passion and are serving the people that need them. What the world has is tired, dejected, self-serving boys in men's clothing. And here's the last one that came out of the COT and this morning's workout. It's dark, but the sun will rise. The leaves are falling now, but new growth is coming. Times are hard, but they will get better. Have hope. Give hope. Live in hope. Tommy boy, thank you for pulling this together. I've got goosebumps just hearing the passion in these men's voices, seeing the smiles on their faces. And I'll tell you, if I ever make my way out to Wichita, you know where I'm going to post. I'm going to find these jokers for sure.
I'll ride shotgun. I'll ride
There you
shotgun.
go.
Just let
There
me
you
know.
go.
Well, it was an honor. I don't need to stretch it out because it'll just dilute the impact you guys are having. So that being said, Dustin Jordan, Italian Job, Men of Wichita, congratulations. Y'all just met a really cool freaking dude. Glad that we could facilitate this and have this conversation. It's going to reach men that we may never have the blessing of knowing that it reached, but we put it out there in hopes that it does. No one is coming to steal a chopism. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you. If a grown ass man hasn't told you already, I love you. Thanks for carving out time, Wichita. Italian Job. Blessed to know you. Glad to spend time with you. Podpaxers, keep making a high impact in your community. The world needs it. Be good or be good at it.
Love you, man. Thank you.